It's that time, isn't it? All right.
So, hi, I'm Emerson Hill. I'm a senior here at Rossville. I'm the class president, and I'm a part of the student ambassadors here. And today, I am pleased to introduce solar eclipse expert and mathematician, Dan McGlone. Mr. McGlone studied at Purdue University and fell in love with this natural phenomenon after seeing his first total eclipse in 1991, and has since seen 15 total eclipses. Mr. McGlone does all of his own eclipse calculations and has done them for over 20 years, making him 100% comfortable offering his results as accurate and complete, which is a direct quote from his website, eclipse2024.org. Through his website, Mr. McGlone offers the science behind the eclipse, how to safely view the event, and additional fun tidbits of information on it, like testimonials of other eclipse viewers, and even allows you to share your own eclipse experience, which you can hopefully do after April 8th. Again, his website is eclipse2024.org, which I highly recommend you check out after this convocation. But right now, we get the opportunity to hear him speak live and in person, and it is such a blessing that he is able to join us this evening. So, without further ado, here is Dan McGlone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I do appreciate that everybody's come out tonight. I will try to be cognizant of the weather forecast. I have to drive all the way back home to Clayton, so which, if you don't know, is near Plainfield and Danville in Hendricks County. But that's part of the deal. I love coming to schools and talking. I love coming to communities. I'm working with them all across the path, but I absolutely am partial, pun intended, to people in Indiana. I've lived here for 50 years. I am a diehard Hoosier, and I am a Purdue grad. Boiler up, absolutely. And it's so much fun to walk up to people in Walmart and say that. It takes them a second to realize what they're wearing, right? But that's okay. I stalk them. So let's see. I ran Eclipse2017.org for the last big total eclipse that we had, which was August 21st, 2017. And my website was just wildly successful, like beyond anything I'd ever thought. 10 million hits a day for almost a month before the eclipse. Yeah. A denial of service attack by the Ukrainians. I mean, I was up there with all the important people. And so what do you do for 2024 as an encore? I had to really think about it with changing the URL and having to deal with SEO, with all the competition that I knew that was going to come out. I had to distinguish myself. So I really set upon making sure that every single person in North America had the information that they could use. So in my database, there are 140,000 cities, and all of them have personal customized web pages thanks to the databases. The simulator allows you to go down into your backyard if you want to and see exactly what the eclipse will look like. And it has been featured in Astronomy Magazine, Sky and Telescope Magazine, and on NASA's website as well. I couldn't believe that. That was really cool. But it's, I hope, a testament to all the work and effort that was put into it. So what I hope to do is to show you some of the things, and this isn't really a blurb about my website, but I want to share some eclipse excitement. I do have eclipse glasses. I didn't come here to, make money or anything, but I am offering them at a substantial discount from what's on the site. And there's all my stuff that's on the site, and I really don't want to talk too much about it. I'm going to show you as we go along. And I will be cognizant of the time. I will give you a lot of chance to ask questions, and we can talk until the snowplows go. I don't care what we do. As long as it's talking about eclipses, I will talk as long as people will sit there and talk with me. Here is a video. And I want to make sure that the sound, so the sound is, there's a reason for that. I have to turn the sound on. I might need some help with this because I don't think that the sound, let's try it. Perfect. Okay, this is a video, very short, and I only play about a minute of it, from Charleston, South Carolina, where people had gathered to watch the eclipse, as people do all over the place. I mean, there were eclipse parties everywhere, in the path, out of the path, and there will be again this time. And what I like to do when I show this is just to illustrate to you, this is not something that someone has got you out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, there's this really cool thing going on, and you get out and you look at it and you go, I got out of bed for that? No, that's not cool at all. I want to go back to bed. No, an eclipse is absolutely the most amazing thing you can ever see with your two eyes. And I want to show you what happened at this one. Again, it's only about a minute, and I will talk over it a little bit, but unbelievable. It really is amazing after an eclipse happens. So look at all the people that have gathered here at this, I suppose, official viewing area. And on the right, so he's got his eclipse glasses on, ready to go. On the right side of the sun, you'll see how dark it is. That's the shadow of the moon coming at you from the right side and covering the sun up. And I just want you to kind of hear the noise level in the crowd. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. People, I mean, it looks like nothing you've ever seen in your life. Nothing you've ever seen in your life. It's beyond amazing. It's like nighttime in the middle of the day. I mean, it's scary. You can understand all the science. You can understand everything about what's going on. You can have all the history. You can have seen as many as you want, and it's still just earth-shattering, jaw-dropping, knee-buckling, soul-stirring. People cry, they scream, they have a video, and they can't show it to anybody because they said stuff. It's just amazing, and there's no way around it, and it's universal. No matter what happens, when totality hits, people just lose it. And so now I play that, and I say, well, it's not going to be total in Rossville. And you'd be like, well, why did you even play that? Because you guys are really special in Clinton County. The edge of the path comes right through the center of your county. So in Rossville, you're going to get a very, very, very deep partial eclipse, which is very interesting and very amazing. In Frankfurt, you're going to be on the edge of the path where you can see all kind of cool effects, which I can show you in the simulator. In Kirkland, you're going to be in the path, and you're going to get about a minute and a half of totality. So you can decide what you want to do. You don't have to go to Antarctica or Turkey or where else have I been? Egypt, Zimbabwe, Australia. You don't have to go those places. You can just stay in Clinton County, and you can have whatever experience you want. And that's the whole purpose of what I've tried to do with all the information that I offer. And I don't charge for it either, by the way. So I have seen eclipses as I start up technology. Scary. I have seen eclipses in all of these situations except one. I'll let you guess. My wife did not go to Mongolia to get married during an eclipse the year that we were married. She did not do that. We got married without being in an eclipse. But I can assure you, many people do. I helped a lot of people in 2017 with their weddings during totality. Like they timed it for, like when totality hit is when they said I do. Isn't that cool? And there are wedding barns where group weddings, or Portland, Indiana is having one that I know of. And I'm sure there are more. But all these people getting married during totality, I think that's just really cool. Spectacular. Never seen anything like it. I need a lot more of that. Moon shadow. And he's doing the right thing, holding his glasses on his face so that the wind doesn't blow him away. Even people who were not in the path And this is one of the things that inspired me to do this for everybody, not just people in the path. We are guilty as eclipse geeks, as astronomers, as scientists of, well, you know, if you're not in the path, it's just not even worth it. No, that's not even true at all. Everybody's experience is important. Everybody's experience is worthy and valid, and if there's anything I could leave you with, it is you will remember what you did on Eclipse Day. You will remember it for the rest of your life, especially if you are young, because there are more eclipses coming. And one day, you're going to be the person who is experienced, and you're going to, oh, look at that. You're going to be, I love that picture. You're going to be the person who's passing on this knowledge that, I remember back in 2024 when we did this, and we had this thing was called the internet, and we did, I don't even know how we did that. How did we survive with that? Because the intergenerational thing, this is one of the best pictures that I think I've ever seen. This is what we want. We want the older people to be teaching the younger people. We want people to look up from their phones, look up to the sky, and find somebody to look up to. That's what we want. And eclipses can do that because they are such an emotional and such a stirring event. And it's not something you watch, it's something you experience. You start early on Eclipse Day. Well, if you're me, you start 30 years ahead of time. And, I know where I'm going to be on April 8th, 2024. You know what you're going to be doing that morning. You socialize, you have food, you have fun, you have your friends, you have your family, the people that are special to you, a place that is special to you, and you experience it. And when it's over, you saw the guys like, I just can't. That was just the coolest thing. When's the next one? They want to know when the next one is. Well, the next one, because eclipses aren't really that rare, but the last time an eclipse was in Clinton County, well, this is the last time it was at my house, 1869, and my house wasn't there, and I missed that one. But 1869. But that wasn't the last one for Clinton County. You have to go back to 1806. June 16th, if you're keeping track, is a long time ago. And that kind of gives you an idea of how rare these are and how long you have to wait to see one if you stay put. Now, if you want to go to Antarctica, and you want to go to Australia, and you want to go to Costa Rica, and you want to go everywhere else, you can see one just about every other year or so, every year. Like the next one is in 2026 in Spain and Iceland. And cruises are already sold out, hotels are already sold out, because people have this thing they want to do, and they want to see eclipses. Well, the next big totality in the United States, there's one in 2033 in Alaska. There's one in 2044 that goes down through Alberta, and it's a sunset eclipse in North Dakota. That would be just so cool, the sun setting while it's eclipsed. The next big one, though, is, the slide's missing. It's in 2045. 2045, and the path goes from like Salt Lake City down Tulsa, down through Little Rock, and then through Orlando. So, total eclipse at Disney World. I will meet you there on August 12th, 2045. I may be in my wheelchair, but I'll be there. And it's kind of comforting to know where you're going to be on August 12th, 2045, right? I mean, I think that's kind of cool, but I'm a math guy. Your mileage may vary. The next time we have an eclipse in Clinton County, 2343, and I don't mean like 15 minutes to midnight. I mean 23, the year 2343. So that's pretty rare. So make sure you see this one. And try to book your hotel reservations now, because I'm sure that one will sell out too. This is the path of totality for 2024. And when I say path of totality, the shadow of the moon is always there. Everybody always has a shadow. You're carrying it along with you. If you got a light source, you're going to have a shadow. And the moon is the same way. It's got the sun, and it pulls its shadow through space as it orbits the earth. And every once in a while, that shadow just happens to scrape across the earth. And because we know how to do a lot of math, and some very, very smart people have come before us and invented all the techniques, and people like me have learned how to do it, and there are a few of us who do this, and I don't know why it's an obsessive thing, but it's really cool, and I think it's the coolest math that I've ever done, and I think it's what I was born to do. So we know that there will be an eclipse on April 8th. We have known that for I haven't known it, but it has been known for hundreds of years. We know exactly where on Earth it's going to go because we know the rotation of the Earth. We know all these facts and figures, and it's a lot of work. And thank goodness we have computers to help us, because doing it by hand would not be cool, to say the least. If you are in this path, that means that at some point, that shadow of the moon is going to scrape across you, where you are, and you're going to be in the shadow, and you're going to see an eclipse. And then it's going to move on, and the next people in line will have the eclipse. But that shadow will come over you, and then you will see it. But you have to be in that path for that little piece of shadow to be hitting you. If you are not, then you will get a partial eclipse. The closer you are to that path, the deeper your partial eclipse. If you're in Miami or Seattle, you're going to get just a little eclipse. It's not your eclipse. If you're in Memphis or St. Louis or Detroit, you're going to get a or Rossville, you're going to get a very, very, very deep partial eclipse. But if you're in the path, and there are many, many big cities and many small cities that it goes over, you will at some point, excuse me, you will have, you'll be in the shadow. Okay, map of the path for Indiana, and you can see Clinton County is just split right in two by the path. The northern limit of the path is right there, and it goes right, literally smack dab through Frankfort. In fact, you can see on this picture we have, there's Frankfort, and I have to go to a different one to show you what I want to show you, which is the path in this area, and that would be, it would be here if I knew what I was doing. Close that down, get rid of that. Go away, okay. How do I get that to go away? I don't want that to go away, because if it goes away, then I won't see anything. Technology is very scary. Let's look. I really want to show you this, because I think it's darn it. Can I have, how do I get rid of this, this screen? I will continue, and I will show you this in just a second, but I need to get that screen minimized. And I think, I don't know how to minimize it, I'm sorry. Well, I feel like if we minimize it and disconnect it, then So, meanwhile, it doesn't drag. I don't know any good jokes, Eclipse jokes. You do? Tell me a joke. Who's there? Somebody who? Delbert. Who? Well, that was kind of funny, unless you're poor Delbert. Well, okay, I'm being This is an changing the subject. This is an interactive map, and when you do your own calculations, you can do whatever you want. I do these for all kinds of locations along the path. I've got 75 of them, and southeastern Oklahoma just asked for one, and I'm doing that. Actually, it's up on my computer right now. As soon as I get home, I'll work on it. It looks like the eclipse is going on, doing the same thing for everybody, and you can see Rossville, Frankfort, Kirkland. I've just given you this the lowdown on those, and you can see what happens as that shadow of the moon races from west to east across central Indiana, and I can run time backwards if I want to here. Can't do that in real life. Once it's gone, it's gone. And every eclipse chaser has the dream, by the way. I've had it at least 3 times, and so many people that chase eclipses that are my friends, it's the dream where you wake up in a cold sweat because it's eclipse day and you've overslept and the eclipse is happening without you. And it's absolutely terrible. It's the worst thing, and it takes about an hour for you to realize that you're okay. But here we go. We can only run it one way in real life, but that's what happens. If you're in the path, you get an eclipse, a total eclipse, and if you're next to the edge of the path, you get the edge effects, and the deeper you are into the path, the more you see. And so I have that for everything. In fact, I even have one that I did specifically for Frankfort, and that, no, go away. That is just a very small one, just to kind of show, the courthouse is not in the path, but the fairgrounds is, and the high school just barely is. But that's cool. I mean, that's going to be a nice event. Slideshow. So there is a map, a static map of Clinton County, and it kind of shows you. You're going to get really deep partial. I think I've beat this topic to death, so I think I'm going to move on. But this is a map of Clinton County that shows you the percentages of the partial eclipse and then the duration of totality. And you can see that it picks up really quick. I mean, just on the south side of town, you're going to have 45 seconds of totality, whereas on the north side, you didn't have any. And you might look at this and you might say, well, you know what, 99.5%, that's a pretty good, I'm pretty happy with that. I can stay put. But the analogy I will use is, if you are hungry and you eat 99.5% of your meal, you will be full. And if you are hungry and you drive 99.5% of the way to the restaurant and you stop and you don't go in, you smell the meal, you know there's a meal, there's a fabulous meal. You didn't eat any of it, you're still hungry. And that's kind of the analogy that we use. It is an amazing, interesting, wonderful experience to be at 99.5, but if you can just go 5 miles and see totality and see the corona and the diamond ring and the beautiful effects of totality, it probably will be something that you will see in retrospect was worth it. Oh, this is the slide I was talking about. This is the path of totality for 2017. I always show this even just to everybody because it's interesting. If you overlay, kind of remember where that path is, and then look at the Google map of where the traffic jams were on that day, it's like a perfect match. There were places in Wyoming that had 4-hour traffic jams, places that don't get any traffic normally. And Carbondale, where I was at in southern Illinois, my wife it took her like 6 hours to get back. I mean, I went through the country. I went like on, 200 south with the gravel roads and the cornfields, and I beat her home by an hour. So that's a lesson. But, I'm talking to communities, and when I do, I say, hey, we want to make sure that we are keeping people around. The NCAA championship game is that night, and we will be able to keep them around, have a big fish fry, have a watch party, do whatever, and we can let them trickle out, and we may be able to avoid those traffic jams. And that is a gift from the NCAA. So thank you very much. I've done some of these little animations. I started out doing one of these for somebody in New York who wanted it for their signature line. And I can do these pretty quickly, and they are really cool to have on their signature line. And I show them because, it's because I think they're cool. I'll show the simulator in just a second, but I do want to say one thing about weather. Everybody always asks, what are you going to do if it's cloudy? And, I mean, it could be snowing, it could be rainy, it could be bogged down and everything, or it could be like April 8th, 2023, which was perfect. It was so good that many eclipse chasers have changed their plans. Instead of going to Texas and, it's got to be perfect in Texas, well, look at Texas. I mean, there's a lot of places that weren't perfect. And if you go to Indianapolis, you have interstates all over. You have mobility. You can go all the way east to Syracuse, to Plattsburgh, into Vermont. And if you want to go south, all the way to Texarkana and Paris, and look at southeastern Oklahoma. Perfect. If that front had been 100 miles farther north, it's a different story. But what I tell people about that, the eclipse is going to happen. There is no way it will not happen. Anything that would cause the moon to change, we wouldn't be around anymore. It's going to happen. We are going to experience it with whatever method that we choose. Whoever you're with, wherever you watch it from, whatever your experience is, I have been rained out before, and it was not the experience I want. We were in China, 2009, and it rained. And it was overcast, and it was a big front. We had airplanes on standby to get us out, to get us to go places, or to get above the clouds. We couldn't do that because it was a huge, massive cold front, and we just had to accept our fate. And it rained, and it was dark, and it got black. Not nighttime, it got indoor closet with the door closed black. I was on the phone, I can't see anything. And I was on TV and the Chinese interviewer was, well, this wasn't the experience that you wanted, but it was an experience, and we feel like we experienced something great. And in retrospect, he was right. That the eclipse will write its own story. The day will write its story, and humans are story gatherers, storytellers, story sharers. That's what we do. We gather stories and we share them. And so my story from that day is I didn't see totality, but I did set out drinking glasses and capture rain that fell during totality. And I have vials of eclipse rain. And I do. I swear, why not, right? And it's cool because that's kind of my metaphor for, well, you didn't get what you wanted, but you got what life gave you, and aren't you glad you experienced that? So I am going to be speaking on Friday and Saturday in Waco at the Texas Star Party's special eclipse gathering for thousands and thousands of people. And then I'm going to get on a plane and fly away from the probably almost perfect weather back to Indiana, because for 30 years I have wanted to watch this eclipse from my house. And I'm going to watch it from my house. They can pay for the hotel, they can do whatever they want. I am going to watch this eclipse. I've chosen front yard instead of backyard. I'm going to do that because I want to know what it's like, and for 30 years I've met, and that will be special to me. And I feel that's important enough that I'm sharing with you that find something special, some people that are special, enjoy a special day, a special experience that is a gift to us. And you'll be thankful that you did. It's just wonderful. Sorry, that's a little bit of I'm going to talk about eye safety in a second, but let me talk about, let me get this down, and let me show you the simulator, because I promised that I would. Well, you've kind of seen it. There you go. There's the eclipse. Now you don't have to watch it. The simulator, I have 3 eclipses in it, but this is the one we care about, and it shows you can literally zoom in to anywhere you want, and we can go here to Rossville, and we can see that it grabs latitude, longitude, and altitude. That's all in our database. It's done all the math, done all the database lookups, and it shows you it's going to get darker, darker, darker. There's the shadow of the moon scraping across the earth there. And how do we know that? A lot of math, believe me. And by a lot, I don't mean a little. I mean a lot. And it will be you can't see it because it's just a little sliver, but it's there. And it's bright enough still that you have to use your eye protection no matter what. If you are not in the path, you always need eclipse glasses, always. Or some sort of eye protection, or some sort of projection mechanism. If you're underneath a tree, the sunlight streaming through the leaves will create all kinds of little eclipses on the ground, and you can see it that way. And that's, you're not looking at the sun, so that's the safest. But there's something really, really cool about eclipse glasses in front of your face. Protect, look, wow, I'm looking right at the sun. That is really cool. Unlook, unprotect. So don't be like, no, you put them, you do this, you do that, and then you do that. And you don't wear them, because if you wear them, they're too dark. You're going to walk into something. You're going to trip and fall, and then you'll be on TikTok, and everybody will laugh at you. You don't want to do that. You want to just, okay, I want to look. All right, now I'm going to go back to socializing and doing the things that make this day special. And every few minutes or so, you will be able to look, and let's move back a little bit here, and we can see the moon. Here's the outline. You won't see the outline in the real sky, but this is something that shows you the moon is moving across the face of the sun. And you are not seeing, normally if you go outside and you face south, you will see it during the course of the day. The sun will go from left to right in the northern hemisphere, from east to west. The moon will do the same thing at night, but that's due to the rotation of the earth. What we're seeing here, as we see the moon progressively covering more and more of the sun, we're seeing the moon moving in its orbit around the earth. And you can't really see that. You can see it from night to night, how you can see, well, the moon's in Sagittarius. Well, now it's in Libra. You can see that, but that's not as personally connected as you're sitting here with your eclipse glasses, watching as the moon covers more and more because it's moving. And it's interesting. It's part of the connection that we have with space, which I think interests all of us. And I always think that's kind of cool. The last 30 minutes are really cool because it gets dark. It gets darker. The sky takes on an electric kind of a feel. Your shadows, which normally are fuzzy, if you look at your shadow on a real solid surface, you'll see that it's a little fuzzy. during an eclipse, the more that it gets eclipsed, that shadow becomes sharp and distinct, like somebody cut it out of black poster board. It's amazing. You'll never see something like that, and it's really, really weird. The animals, they think it's nighttime, and they start doing their nighttime stuff, the bugs and the birds and even bats. There was somebody that did a study on bats during the eclipse. Got to do something. But all the animals, they do their thing, and then we do our thing, and it gets dark, dark, dark. But if you're not in the path, it only gets about as dark. Now, you probably will be able to see Venus, even if it's only a deep partial, but that Venus will fade away then. But if you are on the edge of the path, it's a completely different experience. You will see, let's go to Frankfurt here, and I hope I picked a good spot. I'm going to zoom in a little farther. Yeah, okay, that's good. It's downtown. What you'll see here looks very similar, very similar, very similar. However, it keeps going. And as that shadow gets closer to you, it gets darker, 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 darker. And then you see the corona, the crown, coming up from around the sun. You can never see that except during totality. Corona is a Latin word which means crown, and Spanish and French also, all the Romance languages adopted that word. You can also see Bailey's beads, which are on the edge of the sun here. I'll turn off the corona, can't do that in real life. And we can see, look at those beads of sunlight. Why is that? Because that last little sliver of the sun, there are mountains and valleys on the edge of the moon. And because NASA has had a probe in orbit for 15 years, gathering hundreds of exposures every second of measurements, we have a very good idea of the topography of the moon. Now, it's millions and millions and millions and millions of data points. It is terabytes of data. But math doesn't care, and it works. And we know the wobble of the moon. We know its orientation. We know where you are. We know how to shoot a vector to all the points around the circumference of the moon. And we can tell where the mountains will be blocking the sunlight and where the valleys will be allowing it. And that data is accurate. And it took a lot of computers running a lot of time for me to get all that, but it is accurate, and it compares perfectly with all the other websites out there. Plus, I get a chance every time we have an eclipse to check it against actual video of the eclipses, and it matches up perfectly because math. So, there you go. And that's what you'll see, but you'll notice it's not partial, it's not total, really. It's kind of total, it's total-esque, but it doesn't really, and it's beautiful. I mean, these beads dancing around the edge of the sun as you have to use your eclipse glasses, but you can see that, and it is really, really cool. So what do you gain by going down to Kirkland and into the real path of totality? Well, you gain. I'm just gonna guess where it is. Look at that. I got it right. Yeah. Be an eclipse person. Learn your geography for every county. Now it's going to get dark, 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 dark. Now you're going to see. Okay. Now we've got a really, really distinct diamond ring effect as that sun goes right through the very last valley, and it just is brilliant, and the corona's popping out, and everybody's going nuts like you saw in the video, and now it goes away, and now you can see the beautiful corona. You may get to see prominences. We can't tell if they will be. We don't even know what the corona is going to look like. But a couple of weeks ahead of time, the scientists will put out their prediction of what the corona looks like, and I happen to have a corona artist who I have told is not doing anything after March 15th except making me the corona based on that, and I will drop it in, and we will have it for real. One other thing I wanted to show you, see this glow on the horizon? There is an orange glow that will happen, and the deeper you are into the path, the more you get that. It's 360 degrees, it's a sunset, and it's because you're in the middle of this shadow, and there are people way, way, way out there who are not in totality, and the sun is shining on them. And just like at sunset, when the sun goes down below the horizon, you can't see it, but it's still there, and it's still shining its light. And, you know, the atmosphere, it goes through more of the atmosphere scatters the blue more, and we're left with the oranges and reds and yellows of the spectrum. And the exact same thing happens during totality. We call it the 360-degree sunset effect, and it's beautiful. So the point there is there's so many things happening. I mean, the temperature, the birds, the crowd, the diamond ring, the corona, the glow, the temperature. Everything is just saturating you, and that's why people, your brain, I can't find words to say it. It's impossible. It's like your brain is being overloaded and is searching for SD cards to plug in to gather all the data that's inundating it. And when it's over, you're like, oh my gosh, that was the coolest thing. When is the next one? I must see another one. And that is a universal response. So, 2353. Unless you want to go to Spain. And then Gibraltar and Tunisia and Luxor in 2027. And Australia gets 4 of them during the 2030s. So there you go. But this is what the simulator is designed to do. It's designed to show you what the eclipse will be like accurately within, a tenth of a second. No matter where you are, no matter what you are now, I don't know about the prominences and I don't know yet about the corona. But everything else, and that's why NASA's put this on its website, and astronomy and sky and telescope, because it is a real tool that you can use. Whether you're an eclipse geek and you want to search for the best place for the beads, or if you just want to know what's going to happen on eclipse day. Now, I can't simulate the weather, and I don't want to do that. It's going to be a beautiful day because there's going to be an eclipse, and there's not a better day than that. So I'm really happy about that. Let me talk about eye safety just to end real quick. I have talked for 30 minutes, but I have really covered almost all of it. I mean, don't put them on and wear them because you'll walk around, you'll trip on something. Make a lanyard, hang them around your neck. If you want to look, protect, look, unprotect, unlook. And if you are not sure about how to use them, find a different way, find a projection or find somebody with a telescope and a filter. Do not use these with a telescope or binoculars. They are designed for unmagnified light rays that go straight into your eyes. If you magnify them with a telescope, these aren't sharp, they're not strong enough, and that will not be good. And that's one of the directions that's on them. There are a lot of directions on them, and I have a complete set of instructions here. Please make sure that you, on the way out, grab some of these. If you want to get some from me, I will definitely, and the ones I get are absolutely United. These were made in Bartlett, Tennessee by American Paper Optics, and John Jarrett owns the company. I know him very well, and he's a good friend, and I would not use, he's made at least 200 million eclipse glasses in his career, so he knows what he's doing. I think that's a lot of talking. And I think I'm ready to maybe stop and take questions from people if you have any. And because if you don't, you'll have to keep listening to me talk. And I hope that you've learned something. But really, what I hope that you gather from this is that life is about experiences. Life is about doing things, going out and experiencing things, and just sometimes being part of this wonderful universe that we all live in. And we only have a very small part of it. We can't control any of it. We can model it. We can interact with it. But at the end of the day, our experiences are what define us as individuals. I've been fortunate to have so many wonderful experiences, most of them eclipse related, and I just love to share that with everybody who will listen. And I do appreciate your attention and your questions as you have them. So, does anybody have any questions? Oh, just a second. In the front row, sir? Or in the middle row? I guess this is the front row. I get confused. It's hard to say because that's kind of a normal thing. I mean, birds go to roost every night. That's what they do. But it is really weird, and it's very telling that animals will, even if it's 10 o'clock in the morning, they will go through their nighttime routine even though they've only been awake for a few hours. They don't have any concept of time like we do. They don't wear a watch. They don't measure the angle of the sun with a sundial. They just know that life is about cycles. And so when it happens, they will literally go to roost. I mean, they will go back there. And then 4 minutes later, it's over. It's a brand new day. It's time to start up again. And they don't realize, well, I hadn't hunted enough. I'm still hungry. They don't even think about that. They just do what they do because of their instincts. And I think that's, and we're used to that. So it's kind of not, but the crickets, it's kind of interesting. I would suggest, though, that you do not take your pets to see an eclipse because they will be in your way, they will be terrified, they will have no idea, and it's really hard to explain to your cat what's going on. I mean, they know what the can opener sounds like, you know. So, but thank you for the question. I'm not an animal expert, but there was a question back there. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's on the it's. Oh, I didn't show you. Oh my gosh, I'm fired. Here's my presentation. I'm going to go to the last page of it. Please copy. I can't believe. Thank you for that. So there are some links. My email address, I answer at least 100 emails a day, and it's going to get worse in the next 2 months. And eclipsesimulator.solar, Eclipse resources, in fact, resources. I have so many links that I lose track of them. We have videos on YouTube from the simulator. You got music and titles and dancing hamsters and all kinds of stuff. And, well, not really, because I didn't like that. But send me an email or go to the simulator. It is absolutely free. It was something that, again, eclipses are something that I have been lucky to do. I feel called to do it. I have the means, motive, and opportunity, and I've had the opportunity to do it, and I knew I needed to differentiate myself, so I wanted to give the best content, and it is out there available to everyone. So, there was another question. Sir? Afternoon. The exact second depends on where you are, but it'll start about 1:15 or so, and it will go about 3. Let me pull the simulator back up. 3 o'clock, 3:10, 3:50, just as the kids are getting on the school bus, which is literally the worst idea ever. And that's why it is so wonderful that Rossville and many, 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 many schools have decided to be closed on that day and let the kids do their own thing. But you've brought up a point that I want to show. It is very, very interesting in the simulator to be able to see, let me go backwards here. It's very hard to see, even with your eclipse glasses, where that first bite of the sun is going to be. You can see it with the outlines, but if you could see that in real life, you'd know where the moon was, but you can't see the moon until it actually starts covering the sun. But now, thanks to this, you'll know that at about 4:30 on the sun's dial, not 4:30 in the afternoon, but apparently about 1:54 from wherever this location was. It's different for every location. But that's where you'll want to look if you want to be the person to go, first contact, like somebody always does. And then somebody will say, well, I guess we're going to have an eclipse today. The astronomers were right. And I'm like, well, math. So, yeah, we were. But that's an answer to your question. But that's what it's for. It's different for everybody. Your eclipse experience will be unique. Did you have a question? How does the moon know when it is supposed to cover the sun? So that's an interesting question. Would it hurt your feelings if I told you that the moon didn't know that it was covering the sun? The moon, okay, not strong kid. The moon just does its thing. The only reason it's covering the sun is because we happen to be here and the moon happens to be there and the sun happens to be. The moon has no idea what it's doing, right? It's just a big rock that's going around through space, going to wherever it's supposed to go. We can model that with mathematics and we can predict what's going to happen. But the moon is going to do its thing, and it's been doing it for 1 billion years, and it's going to do it for 1 billion more years. So. How does the moon in space do its thing? I'm going to ask you to take physics in high school, and we'll talk about conservation of angular momentum. It's been doing it forever. It started, and there's nothing to stop it. So it just keeps moving. It's under the force of gravity, and it just does its thing. So that's a very, very insightful question. That's a future scientist right there. That's wonderful. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Then why are you asking? Again, it depends on where you are, but at 1,500 miles an hour or so. Because what happens, I can't do this very well with my, the Earth is, this is the side view of the Earth, and it's curved. So if this shadow is going along and is on this curved surface, it's slowest when the axis of the shadow is perpendicular to the tangent line to the circumference of the Earth. But as it moves on, that shadow starts taking this angled path, and it moves faster. It's not moving faster. The shadow's moving the same, but calculus limits, it's going to appear to move faster across the angled edge of until theoretically at the point where it leaves, it's traveling infinitely fast. So anywhere from 700 or 800 miles an hour to really fast. But about here, 1,500 miles an hour or so-ish. Pretty fast. You can't keep up with it. The Concorde tried in 1973 in June over Africa. They put a bunch of equipment in a Concorde, a supersonic airplane, and they chased the shadow. And they were able to extend it to 74 minutes. So there's two people on that flight that are still with us, and that one person, because of that 74 minutes, has over 2 hours in the shadow in his lifetime, which is unheard of. Nobody. I have 37 minutes, and it's just a little geek thing that we do with each other. But that's impossible. 74 minutes. Oh my God! I had an opportunity to do an 8.5-minute eclipse in 2019, and health. I was in the hospital instead of on the plane, and that was the worst day of my life. I absolutely told the doctors, "Can you just fix it so I can go to Easter Island and come back? Because I really got an experiment to do." And they're like, "No, you're going to surgery, mister." But again, that's my eclipse story from 2019. I missed out on Easter Island. I missed out on Machu Picchu. I missed being at. I have a friend whose health is degrading very seriously, and that was his last eclipse, and I would have shared it with him, and I didn't get that opportunity. Missed opportunities are the worst thing you can ever become old and look back at. Take opportunities every time you get them, because they ain't coming back. They're like the shadow. Anything else? Somebody's got a question. Yes, ma'am. Well, looking through a window. If you are looking at the sun, do you still have to use glasses if you're looking through a window? Yes. I don't know why you would want to do that, but anytime sunlight is coming directly from the sun into your eyeballs, you have to have protection. Because could you get sunburnt if you put your arm against the window and the sun? You could. You can get sunburnt while you're swimming. You can get sunburnt in the middle of winter. You can get snowblind. So it is always dangerous, and any time you've got that sunlight that has a chance of getting into your eyes, you can't look at it no matter what unless you have proper eye protection. But that's a good question. More? Get to go home before the snow. Okay, well, if anybody needs eclipse glasses, come on up. I actually do need to have money for them, but it's half of what's on the website. And otherwise, I'm going to have you get a business card. And if you have any questions that come up, please email me. I absolutely do. Maybe it'll take a couple of days, but I'll answer your emails. And if that's it, I thank you very much for your time and your attention and for coming out on this night, and I hope that you absolutely love the eclipse. So, thank you. And now I'm hoarse.
I just wanted to stand up here again and thank thank Mr. McGlon for coming out and doing this presentation for us. And he happened to do this same presentation also for our elementary schoolers and middle and high schoolers. So he's been here with us since 10:30 this morning, and it's just so wonderful that I was able to share this wonderful presentation with us. And so we have some Rossville swag for him to take home with him to remember this experience that we got to share with him, and as a little thank you for him being able to be here with us today. So again, thank you so much.
Rossville swag. Oh, I've got a shirt. I hope it's my size.
changed quite a bit. I did. I couldn't.
I want to show you. This is who. This is who.
This is where you're dead. He got way more trouble than he did.
Oh, you bet.
Agriculture.